Hello everybody all at once. This is Theo Cedar Jones on May 2nd, 2018, and I want to extend another video blog in the series of Theo's Awakening Month, since this is the 5th anniversary of my awakening from my ego self-contraction in Adi Da's company, and so this is another video in the Awakening Month series. This is entitled Bright Oakland. And this is an extension of the Oakland 2.0 series. But now I'm going to change the name of Oakland 2.0 to Bright Oakland. So the new plan for Oakland is called Bright Oakland. And before I get into that, I'm going to do a little plug for enlightenment and ego death. And I just want to say that since this is the anniversary, my 5th anniversary of awakening from the ego self-contraction, that enlightenment and ego death is a really, really good thing. And it's totally practical. It totally works. It does not interfere with your ability to survive. In fact, it does enhance it, even though it does sensitize you to the egos around you. And that is one of the fiery prices you have to pay to be willing to awaken. But I just want to encourage everybody to get with Adi Da, or get with Santosha Ma, or get with both Adi Da and Santosha Ma, because they're both 7th-stage realizers, and you become what you meditate on. So the best, most expedient way for you to undergo your own ego death experience is to study Adi Da's teaching about looking and observing your own ego self-contraction to an intensive degree, and then just following the example of Santosha Ma. So you've got a male guru, you've got a female guru, you've got choice. You've got no excuses not to get with the 7th-stage realizer, okay? You can't say, oh, he's a male guru, I have distaste for the male guru. No, you've got a female guru now too, and she's in the flesh, she's alive, Santosha Ma. So you've got to, get with it. Get enlightened. Get your ego dead. Okay, end of public service message. So today I want to introduce a very special guest on the discarnate plane, and his name is Huey P. Newton. Everybody, round of applause. Yes, Huey P. Newton is my new special favorite person, and I've sort of asked him astrally to be my friend and comrade in hijinks, and basically for the sake of world liberation. And I'm officially, for the 10-point platform of the Black Panther Party as offered by its originators, Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. So I'm going to break down a little bit of the history as I've come to understand it about Oakland, before we get into Bright Oakland, because hey, I want Huey's help to create, I'll just give you a little foreshadowing. Since it's true historically that the Black Panther Party was born in Oakland, California, okay? But where? Merritt College. The Black Panther Party was born at, of all places, not Laney College downtown. I would have expected the Black Panthers to get started at downtown, not up in the hills. The Black Panthers started up in the Oakland Hills, people. This is so contrary, inverse of, for me, it's the perfect delight. And I'm going to tell you how personal, how deeply in my own Oakland roots this personal chunk of history is, because my teenage years I grew up in the shadow of Merritt College. I grew up in a house that abutted the property called Leona Park. Leona Park is this perfect, most cutest little urban elfin park in the world, okay? It's deep in my heart. It's deep in my Oakland heart. And Leona Park was on the direct abutment of our property on Leona Street, where we had my teenage household. And I would hike those hills all the time and hike up to Merritt College, okay? There is so much going on that's sacred and special and unique about Leona Park, Merritt College, and a unique inhabitant of Leona Park, which I'll get to in a moment. But all this like ties together so wonderfully for me now. It's like everything's coming together for me, okay? Huey P. Newton is a beautiful guy. Just look at the pictures of him. Look at him in jail. Look at him after he gets out of jail. And I'm approaching this subject of Bright Oakland through the lens of Huey P. Newton right now. I can't think of a more beautiful, charismatic leader in any of the fields. To me, he was at that same level of Marilyn Monroe and Bruce Lee, of just being a divinely beautiful kind of human who was at the peak of their game in their field, of what they were trying to do. And I think of Huey P. Newton. You know, he was the Minister of Defense of the Black Panthers, and he was also an intellectual who graduated from the University of Santa Cruz, which I just love. I just love that UC Santa Cruz was like an intellectual foundation for Huey Newton. Okay, again, he's off there in the woods. If you don't know, UC Santa Cruz is the ultimate redwood cove of elfin, luscious, hippie gorgeousness. And it just warms my heart thinking that Huey Newton gets his Black Panther support from this nurturing white hippie enclaves of the UC Santa Cruz Redwood campus and the Big Basin wilderness, and that really is old growth redwoods right there in UC Santa Cruz. Okay, we're going to get to the redwoods. The redwoods are part of the liberation struggle. Okay, bear with me. And he's in that enclave of Merritt College, which you never hear about. Merritt College, who the fuck knows about Merritt College? Okay, I'm going to put it on the map, and Huey P. Newton's going to put Merritt College on the map, because that's where the Black Panther Party was born, and that's where y'all's Theo Cedar Jones had his little teenage years growing up. And that is bordered by the unique elfin redwood cove of Leona Park. So these parks, okay, these geographical regions of the earth have an effect on my political consciousness. Had an effect, I believe, on Huey P. Newton's political consciousness, and continue to drive the motivation to make Bright Oakland. All right? So Bobby Seale, who is still alive, okay? He survived all this mayhem, all this COINTELPRO, all the CIA and police suppression of the Black Panther movement. He's still alive. And that man can hold forth like nobody's business. His mind is completely intact. He lays it down and breaks it down, okay, about the history of the Black Panthers, their choice to use violence, and all of that. But Bobby Seale and Huey Newton meet at Merritt College, and they decide, can you imagine, they're getting together, they're putting their heads together, and like, all right, Bobby, you're going to be the chairman of the Black Panther Party, and Huey, you're going to be the Minister of Defense, and we're just going to make a liberation party for the black people of Oakland and Philadelphia and every city in the United States, ultimately, that will stand up to the police and the powers that be and demand that black communities have a cessation of violent occupation in their midst, and that they have rights to food and shelter and health care and education and self-determination. Of course, there's much more, but Those basic elements are key and essential to the Global Cooperative Forum and the basic establishment of respect for the community. If you can't defend your community, you don't have the building blocks of the Global Cooperative Forum. So I'm looking to Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale and the Black Panther movement as an essential building block, an essential proof of concept, an essential demonstration, empirically proven, of self-defensive communities. So they just made it up at Merritt College, people, okay? In the Redwoods. In the Redwoods. This is where we hatch our schemes, okay? This is where the new civilization born. In the Redwoods. In the Oakland Hills. Now, in UC Santa Cruz, let me lay it down for you. Let me break it down and lay it down for you. They are up in the Big Basin wilderness, and there are still intact old-growth redwood trees in that park, okay? So those old-growth trees have a certain vibration of consciousness that feeds down into UC Santa Cruz. Now, UC Berkeley is under the Tilden Park, where they cut down every single old-growth tree. So there's no old growth in Berkeley at all. None. So Berkeley has had this kind of arboreal lobotomy. And that's why Cal Berkeley, I like to think, if you look up, Cal Berkeley has no distinguished alumni. There's nobody from graduated from Cal Berkeley that is ever fucking worth a damn, or who is famous, or made a contribution that's lasting in a positive way in culture or society. Until myself and Mike Waters, that is. But Cal Berkeley had its brain removed because they cut down all the old growth trees in the Berkeley Hills. Now, the Black Panther Party did not start in Berkeley. It started in Oakland. What makes Oakland special? Let me tell you what makes Oakland special. Leona Park. Well, Merritt College. What's special about these podunk community college in this no-name urban park? Oakland has superpowers, people. Because Oakland has one surviving old-growth redwood tree called the grandfather tree in my sweet, humble, little Leona Park. So they left this 90-foot runt on a rocky outcropping that you can barely get to without slipping down a hill and busting your ass. It's really hard to get to. That's the only reason it survived. And it's a runt. It's probably only 450 years old, they say. But it's our sweet little survivor, you see, of all the genocide that happened to the Ohlone and Miwok people in the East Bay, okay? That's one of the most complete, utter, total genocides that's ever happened. We kill all the Indians, that we possibly can in the East Bay, right? But they're still there. They're still alive. The Muwekma Ohlone. We'll get to that in a minute, but they are the survivors as well. But there's a lone tree, the grandfather tree in Leona Park, on a rocky outcropping that's hard to get to, almost in spitting distance to Merritt College and to my house where I grew up. And I have a vision now for Bright Oakland that ties in Leona Park and Merritt College. And when you all go to Leona Park and there's a parking lot there, man, it is the sweetest little park. And its energy, its feng shui goes down this like stream bed under Mountain Boulevard all the way to Highway 13, and under the Highway 13 all the way down to the bay. So this park connects to the heartbeat of the bay. It connects you to Merritt College and Leona Park and the grandfather tree. So I've always had this dream of creating nature shrines in the East Bay Park system. So since Berkeley doesn't have an old growth tree left, we're going to start, what I'd like to propose is the Huey P. Newton Global Peace and Liberation Park. All throughout Leona Park and on Merritt College. And we'll have a peace center for global research studies and organizing and liberation, and basically revive the Oakland Community School that Huey Newton was working on towards the end of his life. That was active from 1973 to 1982 until it was basically shut down over embezzlement charges against Huey that were all later dropped, except for one questionable $15,000 check that he cashed. $15,000, okay. So the whole school was shut down over a supposed scandal that ended up being over a $15,000 check. So that's how you that's how you put the stave in the wheels of the People's Liberation Movement, you know? So let's revive the Oakland Community School. Let's put the headquarters for the Huey P. Newton Global Peace and Liberation Park and the Oakland Community School up at Merritt College. And then have the most beautiful urban nature path going all the way through Leona Park from Merritt College down to Mountain Boulevard and Highway 13. And every little alcove and niche of that nature walk up to the grandfather tree would have little elfin nature shrines to Kuan Yin and Adida and Durga Ma and all of the nature gods that you could want from all the traditions, and having everybody all at once sacred nature walk with the most exquisite, beautiful, eco-friendly little nature shrines. And they're beautiful, and you walk up the canyon, up to the grandfather tree, and we'll build a safe zone around the grandfather tree and trails at a safe distance where people can get close enough to see it but not hurt it. And make a truly sacred destination, pilgrimage spot to the Huey P. Newton Global Peace and Liberation Park and the Oakland Community School global headquarters right up there at Merritt College, and tie that in beautifully down through Leona Park. So that's the heartbeat of Bright Oakland. And then that's the cathode, if you like. The anode is Lake Merritt. How perfect is it? Merritt College and Lake Merritt are the anode cathode of the Global Cooperative Forum pavilion would be stationed down at Lake Merritt, maybe right on the elevated park over Highway 580. That Lakeshore Avenue would just go right over the freeway and go right around south side of the lake. And basically what we're going to do in Bright Oakland is close off all the streets around Lake Merritt to cars, internal combustion cars, permanently. Close off MacArthur Boulevard to cars permanently. Close off Grand Avenue and West Grand Avenue to cars completely and permanently. And have it only a grand eco promenades for human bodies in the commons, light electric vehicles and bicycles. And then internal combustion car parking lots are never more than 300 yards from the grand eco promenades on MacArthur Boulevard, Redwood Boulevard, Lakeshore Avenue, and Grand Avenue. And that these grand promenades would be lined with all ages entertainment venues, youth clubs and project zones, entrepreneurial zones for the youth, schools, and sustainability projects, so that everywhere you go in Oakland you see flowers, you see music and places to experience art and culture, and you see sustainable bionomies anchoring these eco promenades on MacArthur Boulevard, Grand Avenue, etc. And you combine this with elevated parks over key areas like 51st and Broadway, Lakeshore Avenue, and Highway 580, and MacArthur Boulevard and 35th. Those three areas have to have elevated parks so that the Eco Promenade can go over the cars that are on the freeway. And this is all to make bright Oakland the world's first and greatest arts and culture and sustainability theme park. That also fulfills all of the ultimate goals of both the Black Panther Party and the Global Cooperative Forum. So, if you can get down with all that, Huey, let's get to work.